What's up guys, it's your favorite Kiwi coach, and give me 6 months of your time, I'll give you the best golf swing of your life. So welcome back to the channel. In this particular video, we're going to be taking a look at a lesson from Mike Adams. If you guys don't know who Mike Adams is, well, shame on you. I think he's very popular in Japan as well as in America. This particular video, we're taking a look at a lesson with a lady professional golfer who was struggling to get the club head speed with her driver above 100 miles per hour. So they're going to be talking about some motions with the wrist that really help this player get a lot more club head speed. So if you're interested in that, well, let's go ahead and jump in. But before we get into the video, I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, and that is Kiwi Golf Japan. If you did not know, YouTube does not pay the bills. So if you want to help support this channel and allow us to continue to make videos for you, after the video is over, check out the link down below for Kiwi Golf Japan. You'll sign up for a platinum membership site, and it really helps support this channel. Let's go ahead and take a look at the lesson with Mike Adams.
All right, what's your goal?
My max so far ever has been 98. I've never touched 100. My goal today is to get over 100 miles per hour.
What are you saying, Mike and Terry?
She's got it in her.
Okay. All right, sit. Nice, big.
All right, so let's stop it here and start to kind of break down her golf swing. So first and foremost, like they just said, the goal is with driver specifically. She's never swung over 100 miles per hour with driver, so that'd be a big goal that she wants to accomplish today. Now, Mike Adams here is going to start to talk about her release in a second, but I want to kind of break down her golf swing a little bit before we start to get into that section. So one of the things that I personally see in her golf swing, and I think this is something that maybe she was taught about by another golf instructor. However, on the downswing, it really looks like she's trying to drive the handle forward and really kind of narrow the radius of the swing plane very early in trying to get those hands ahead of the club head. And I'm assuming that's because she was taught to try to get more shaft lean by another golf instructor. Now, this is actually going to be what Mike Adams is going to talk about here in a second, so I'm not going to talk about all of that just yet, but I'm assuming that's kind of the case. Some other things I see in her golf swing as well, which is really classic. Top of the swing, in the downswing, kind of the grip in moves a little bit more vertically down, and then from P5 into the golf ball, the grip in really shoves out towards the golf ball as she lays the club shaft down or flattens the club shaft. And that's really kind of getting her underneath the plane while the hands are quite high when the club shaft is parallel. So if you do that, and that's a really common move for lady golfers, but if you do that, you pretty much have no control over the club shaft, and the resistance to twist is very minimal, so it's easy for that club shaft to twist. As well, when your hands are high and the club shaft is parallel, i.e. the hands are above the hips when the club shaft is parallel in the downswing, there's no speed as well in the golf swing. So that's why she's losing out on a lot of club head speed and a lot of control. So let's go to the part where Mike Adams starts to instruct her on what she should be doing for a release to help her get a little bit more club head speed.
That was good. Now, you can let this release.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen is you're going to let this hinge back and release through, okay? This is going to fall and release. That's all I want you to feel. Grip it with the left.
So now Mike Adams is starting to get into the instruction. Now they kind of skipped through the whole part of why he wants her to do this. They didn't talk about that at all. That's why I kind of explained a little bit earlier in this video of the reason why I think they're trying to do this. I could be wrong, but I'm assuming I'm probably close to right. Now this little training aid that they have right here, it's not necessarily like a biofeedback type of training aid where you get a sound if you do it correctly. It's more so as a visual training aid to where you're trying to see that right wrist extend on the way back. And then as it comes through impact, you want it to actually move towards that flatter position and then actually move towards flexion once you kind of get past the fall through area, kind of that right past P8, you want it to move towards that flexion position. This, in turn, is going to allow her to get the club head to catch up to the hands a little bit better, which is going to give her more club head speed. The more and more you narrow that radius or drive that grip forward and leave the club head behind, you're losing out on a massive amount of speed in the golf swing. So this is what they're talking about. You actually want to have more hand movement or more of that right wrist movement to get that club head to catch up. And especially for a lady golfer, we really don't need a lot of dynamic loft taken off at impact, right? So we do want to have that right wrist moving towards that flatter position, actually, if anything, slightly earlier than a PGA Tour pro. Let's continue.
left hand, let the right hand control it, just half shut. Right. I want that to extend. Push the thing, snap it.
There you go.
Oh, that was good.
Now, did you guys see how that last golf ball kind of went off to the right and then Mike Adams said, let it release? If the golf ball went out off to the right, the face angle is going to be open. But there's a couple ways you can open the face angle, right? One of the ways is you can actually add on a little bit of clockwise rotation with the forearm and then pronation in the left wrist, and that will open the face. But that's actually not how she is opening the face as she approaches the golf ball. She's opening the face because she's driving the handle out towards the golf ball, which then in turn is moving the club head behind the hands, and then the overall path is pretty far out to the right. And then from there, she either has to rely on a massive kind of counterclockwise rotation of the forearm or supination to square the face, or she doesn't do that, which, by the way, because her right hand is on the grip this certain way, it's difficult to rotate the shaft the way I just said. She's going to block it off to the right. So this is why this training aid is pretty powerful. If you can move the right wrist the correct way at the correct timing, you're going to get the face angle to square up the way that Mike Adams wants you to have it square up, which then in turn again is not driving that handle out towards the golf ball from P5 into P6. It's more so allowing the handle to start to arc in, which then throws the club head out, which then in turn is going to allow that right wrist to move the way that they want to move to square the face.
Yeah. There you go, turn it loose, mother goose.
Now this is another thing I noticed and they didn't necessarily talk about in this particular video. I'm sure they might have talked about it off camera with Mike Adams. In her backswing, another thing that she's having an issue with when she's doing this training aid, not necessarily on her full swing without the training aid was this an issue, but when she had the training aid, it really looked like the club head movement was starting to get really inside. And then from there, the club head was not cocking up, or she wasn't adding on that radial deviation to get the club head on plane, right? So she's basically underneath the plane with the club head, and then it was really far inside as well. So if that's the case, even if you move the right wrist correctly, because the direction the club head is moving in towards the golf ball is coming from the inside, that's going to shoot the club head out too much, which then in turn makes it easier to hit the heel, easier to get the club head to bottom out behind the ball and ascend into the ball. So we're not going to get what we want to have occur. So assuming off camera, they talked about trying to get that club head a little bit cocked earlier or get the club head a little bit more on top of the plane on the backswing. So then in turn, when she starts to pull the grip in the correct direction and move that right wrist towards a flatter position, she's going to get the club head on top of the plane a little bit more as opposed to underneath the plane. And now when she releases her right wrist, she's going to have really crisp, solid contact with a great low point, and she's going to square the face. Again, this is all off camera. They didn't really talk about it in this particular video, but I'm assuming that's what they were talking about.
Better. Okay. Okay. Now just push. Feel this push. No. Feel it push. Feel that?
Yeah.
Push. No. Push.
Is that right?
Yeah.
It's like extended.
So when he's talking about the pushing motion, again, that's that right wrist going from an extended position all the way to that flex position, doing that at the right time. And if you take a look at when he's really trying to get that right wrist to start to go towards that flex position, it's going to be after club shaft parallel on the follow through, right? So after position 8. That's when he really wants her to push, right? So if she can have the intention of pushing at that timing, maybe then in turn, she's going to get the right wrist to release at the proper amount at the right time to catch the club head up to the hands. So again, that she's not going to be so far underneath the plane, as well as she's going to get a lot more club head speed because she's actually releasing the club head as opposed to trying to drive the handle forward, which again is a big speed killer.
Almost.
It almost looked like from here, Mike, she's rolling open, like a side.
Because that's what she taught herself to do.
Yeah.
So again, see how they just cut right there to kind of this point? That was the part of the video where they talked a little bit about the backswing right there, the camera person. And then I'm assuming Mike Adams talked to her a little bit about the backswing because you do start to see her backswing change ever so subtly. I don't know how long they talked for. Again, it was cut out of the video, but everything I said earlier in this video about the backswing, I'm assuming that that is what Mike Adams told to her. Again, just my assumption, but I'm pretty sure I'm correct.
Good. Good. Run to that. Just what you showed us. So you don't chase it, let it go. See how the body stays there?
Yeah.
Arms continue.
So now when he talks about don't chase it, he's talking about the overall upper body, so the rib cage sway and the pelvic sway. You don't want to start to chase it too early, which just simply means as the club head is releasing, if you try to move the... All right, that's it for you guys on YouTube, but before you guys click off, let me give you some quick wrap-up points. So if you guys haven't heard of Mike Adams, you now probably know a little bit about him. I highly recommend to go do some research. I know there's some Japanese YouTube channels that have also had him on their channels. So if you want to see some translated videos of Mike Adams, definitely make sure to go check that out. There'll be, I don't know, maybe we'll leave a link to one of them down below. He's a great instructor in America as well as very popular here in Japan. I think the overall movements that he talked about with the right hand release was definitely really crucial for this particular player. We really don't want to see that grip in, try to drive forward so early in transition because that really narrows the radius and it's a huge speed killer. And it's also going to make it difficult for the club head to catch up to the hands. So great advice there. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to support this channel by signing up for the Kiwi Platinum membership site. It really does help. Sign up for the Kiwi Code 6-month program as well while you're there. And I'll see you guys in the next video.